Welcome, everyone. So, this is my very brief and simple explanation as to how to file simple W-2s through the TurboTax online software. Just by simply going to their website, not necessarily a software, but just simply going to their website, signing up, and then getting started with preparing whatever simple W-2s you may have. Now, the reason why I focus on simple W-2s is because if you go beyond filing just W-2s, maybe even a little bit of investments and unemployment, you more than likely will face charges by TurboTax. And I'm going to show you an example of what I mean. So as you can see here on this screen for TurboTax products and pricing, you can see that the free edition says you will pay nothing for filing electronically a state and federal returns. So you won't pay anything if you choose to file them electronically through TurboTax. Now that only applies for if again you are filing like simple W-2s, as well as I noticed they did allow unemployment to be added if someone did not have federal taken out of their unemployment or something. You can add that on there as well. There's certain investments that you can also add to this without being charged. However, you can see that then there are these other products where there's suddenly like all these pricings begins to occur, like you get started to get all these charges. So as you can see, you can start all of them for free, but when it comes to actually filing, then you will have to pay. So for example, you have the deluxe edition where it says you will pay $40. Now that's these prices that you see in blue are strictly for the federal. As you can see, it does let you know that the state is additional. I'll click on that in a minute to further elaborate on that. But real briefly here, so for example, you have the deluxe package where it's letting you know you can search over 350 tax deductions and credits. Um, you can also maximize mortgage and property tax deductions, and you could turn donations into big deductions. So if you were to go with any of these items, if you want to add any of these items to your filing, then you are looking at paying for this particular product in order to complete your filing through TurboTax. If you move on to a Premier, you can see that they let you know if you want to add on investments, certain investments in rental property, then you are looking at paying an even more higher fee. So this particular product covers everything that Deluxe does, but in more, which are these items right here are the more, cover stocks, bonds, ESPPs, and other investments. Auto import of investment income covers rental property income and tax deductions, accurately account for gains and losses from cryptocurrency transactions. Then you move on to their final product, which is self-employed. And self-employed chart is about $90 to file for the federal, and then of course the state is additional. And with self-employed, that's pretty much self-explanatory. That's your 1099 individuals, your contractors, etc. So that is more so for individuals who are looking to file self-employed. And just to give an example of the state, as you can see, it says we automatically transfer your information to TurboTax state. Once you completed your federal return, we'll automatically transfer your information and give you the option of completing your state taxes using TurboTax. Price per state with this particular one is $40. And that's per state. If you have more than one state to file, that's a whole different story. So as you can see, it lets more information. So if you are someone who is looking to file these specific kind of items and you don't mind paying, you definitely want to just keep an eye out on the additional fees that TurboTax is going to charge. Now, I know there are way more tax software out here. This is the one I'm most familiar with. I have been filing my own taxes as well as family member taxes for over 5 years now using TurboTax, and I've personally come across times where it did tell me like, oh, you have to pay because certain family members may have certain things, including myself, that would fall under these additional categories. So I normally manage to navigate. There was a time I couldn't navigate around that, and that's a whole nother story. But there are plenty of softwares out here. So if you feel that TurboTax is not right for you when as far as the pricing goes, it doesn't mean that you still won't be able to prepare your own taxes. It just means you have to do a little more research to find a software that is more price efficient for you, if not free altogether. So with that being said, we are focusing strictly on this one right here, which is simple tax returns, the free edition, basically just W-2. So let's get into it. Okay, so I have my little welcome page here, and I actually was going to make this a presentation that I was going to attempt to sell, but this year it's just been a little weird. It's been a little different. I've done this in the past. I was able to gain some clients. I'm not gonna say I was able to gain a plethora because we are living in times where many people who just have simple W-2s know how to file it themselves, or they're used to going to bigger name companies and brands and going to their office to receive rapid refunds and more, so they really don't want to look to do it themselves. So I don't know, it's probably still a market out here. I haven't exactly been marketing myself too well, to be honest. So with that being said, I figured why not just get on here and make it a video instead. So here we go. So we are using today TurboTax, which I introduced you all in the beginning. So in order to file your own taxes through TurboTax, just simple tax returns, simple, we're focusing on simple W-2s, right? In order to file those, you have to have a valid state ID or driver's license, your social security number, the social security number of any dependents, if you have any dependents, if you're taking care of a family member, or if you have children, you definitely need their social security in order to claim them on your taxes. You need an email address that you can access right now. So you definitely want an email address that you can actually get into. And you can always create one on the spot as well. You also want a phone number, particularly a cell phone number. Does it have to be a cell phone number? Probably not. You could probably receive a verification code through your email, but this is just in case TurboTax ever needs to send you a verification code when it comes to signing up for your account or logging back in, maybe after a long period of time. Say you file right now, you need to file again next year using the same software. Well, chances are TurboTax will send you a verification code to verify that it's really you, since you haven't used the software in a while. And if you don't have access to that phone number, you would just have to go a different route to get into your account. It's still possible. It's just a matter of answering security questions. Um, you will also need direct deposit information. Here's the thing about that. This year, TurboTax is offering an account with Credit Karma, some sort of, I guess, checking account with Credit Karma, kind of like a prepaid card situation happening there. So if you are someone who doesn't have a bank account, don't fret, because you can always sign up for that Credit Karma account, or you can turn to places like Cash App, Chime, different online mobile bankings nowadays. You can definitely turn to PayPal even. You could turn to those alternatives when it comes to creating an account. If you don't have any of those like checking and routing numbers in your possession, and say you opened up the account today, then you would just have to wait to complete that last step towards the end of filing, where it's going to ask for your direct deposit information. You just simply log off, log back in when you get that information. Also, as it pertains to direct deposit information, on that very same screen, if you are anticipating a refund, or if TurboTax is letting you know you're getting some sort of hefty amount in a refund, right? They will actually offer you a chance to get an advance on your refund. Normally, the advance is about little less than a half of what you are getting back as far as your federal refund go. So they would definitely let you know if you qualify for that refund. It's not based on credit, it's just based on how much you are getting back, and there is no interest on it. So you're basically signing up with TurboTax to receive the advance from their green dot people, their green dot affiliate company. You're getting an advance on your refund. Just not, like I said, you get about less than half of your refund. And that's totally up to TurboTax to make that determination. And they will send you a prepaid card that the money would be loaded on once the IRS finally accepts your federal return. Again, you don't get charged any interest. What happens is, once the amount is your actual tax amount is funded to your prepaid card, because it has to be funded to that same prepaid card, then TurboTax snatches back the amount that they loaned you, and you will in return get the remainder balance of your refund. So I know, because I have personal experience with this. Next, you will also need something like a paper and pen, just to make sure that you write down the password and username for TurboTax, or wherever you plan on storing it. If it's in memory, that's cool too. You will also want to make sure you have on deck your W-2s that you are looking to file at this moment. And then you need some patience. Be patient with yourself. While I personally believe this is very easy, I've also been doing this for over 5 years now, so it may not be as easy for everyone. So let's get started. So the first step is to create your TurboTax account. I'm going to make sure I leave this link in the description box so that way individuals would have the link just to click on and get started while watching this video. So the first step you're going to do is to create your account by going to this website. Once you get to the website, you should have a screen that looks like this one. And as you can see at the bottom right hand corner of this screen, unless they change it, because right now, as of today, it is February 15, 2021. So they could always change the screen. But for the most part, this little box right here where it says Intuit, TurboTax, QuickBooks, and Mint, it always looks the same for the most part. So at the bottom right hand corner of that box, it says create an account. You would go ahead and click on create an account. So we're at step one, kind of, right? We just actually did a step, but we're going to call this one step one, creating an account. So with this, you're going to begin to fill in the information on that page, which usually starts off, and let me stop right here and let you know, I'm filling this out for Ohio. So I'm not certain if the steps stay the same for each state. So I want to put that disclaimer out there that I've only ever done it for Ohio. So forgive me if your state, as you're going through this, it may switch up on you. It may not have the same, exact wording. Maybe you will get some other options in the menu that's different from what I get as a state of Ohio filing participant. I'm not certain. So I just want to put that out there. What I'm showing you is what I get as a tax filer in the state of Ohio. So on your screen, you should have enter email. You're going to create a user ID. Again, here comes that phone number just in case you need some verification code. So you definitely want it to be a cell. If it's not a cell, go ahead and give a home phone a shot. The least they can do or the worst that can happen is they'll just send a verification code to your email. And then you also are going to create a password. So here's where remembering the user ID as well as the password comes in handy. So you definitely want to also look out for the password requirements so that you don't get frustrated with just trying to come up with a password that TurboTax will accept. Once you enter all that in, and you may have to pause this video from time to time because I'm flowing through it. But once you enter that password in and you click on next or whatever it says at the bottom of the screen, it's more than likely going to ask you to enter in the verification code that they just sent to your cell phone. Again, this is why a cell phone is important. So you want to go ahead and input that 6-digit code that was sent to your phone. Once you enter that code, you should see a screen like the one right here on the bottom of my screen. So as you can see, it's a very friendly woman who we often see in those TurboTax commercials. She's sitting here smiling. And you can see like all these different options. It says, tell us about you, we'll recommend the right tax solution. So this is the point where you want to begin to click on all the things that apply to you, all the menu options. Now, I'm hoping if you are here because you're filing a simple W-2, which is who this presentation is for, tax filers who are filing a simple W-2, I'm hoping that you only click on things like I have a job, which means you receive the W-2, and or I have children or dependents. Once you start to get outside of that, you may get charged something. Now, the paying student loans, I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe that's okay to click. I've done that as well. So I believe that may be okay to click. But as far as maximize deductions and credits, I think that's where the charging may occur. The paid rent, that shouldn't be an issue. Own a home, that may be where the charging may occur. Tax expert to do the taxes for me, I believe that is where the charging may occur, unless TurboTax is still offering free assistance. Okay, because right here it says plus a free expert final review. So if TurboTax is must file by February 15th, no, that's over. So if you click on you want a tax expert to do your taxes, then chances are you're looking at being charged. You can try it, all right? You can try clicking on some of these other options, but just be prepared that additional fees may apply. Step 2. Begin your taxes. So again, you're looking to just choose your tax situation. Ideally, you just want to choose that you receive the W-2 and or that you have dependents. That will keep filing with TurboTax free. Now, that's why I put this little warning up that again, if you click on some other stuff, you're probably going to get charged. Okay, so again, I'm just making sure I put that warning out there. So you should be led to a screen like this one. And it's telling you like, oh, we recommend free edition. Again, TurboTax is recommending based off of what you click on in the previous screen. So hopefully you have been recommended the free edition because that's what you want to go with. File for $0, not these other ones that say start for free, because it's not going to end for free. So you definitely want to click on the one that says file for $0. Step 3, okay, I'm ahead of myself, but as you can see, you would click on file for $0. Step 4, complete your profile. So at this point, you should have a screen that looks similar to this one on the right side of this screen. You're going to fill in your personal information. It's going to ask you, how did you do your taxes last year? And it's going to ask you, like, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about doing your taxes? It's going to have like some emojis, and you can be honest with it. It's not going to change anything as far as I know, because I clicked on all the emotions. So you can click on whichever emotion that you like. But it's just about letting Credit Karma know, how do you feel about preparing your own taxes this year. Also, you'll get a screen that says, what is your marital status? And it should look like this screen right here to the right side. And you want to click on whatever your marital status is. Next, it's going to ask you, did any of the below apply to you in 2020? So again, you just want to click on basic things, like if you click on, maybe if you click on own a home, it may charge. College student and family, that I'm not certain. But for the most part, it should just be. Oh, also, I want to put out there, okay, so I'm forgetting the times that we are living in. So many of you may have received a stimulus check. If you received a stimulus check, don't be afraid to go ahead and let TurboTax know that you received a stimulus check. You'll find out later on why you had to click on that. So whatever one of these apply to you, go ahead and click on them. Which circumstances apply? So this hopefully is the screen that you have, and you want to review them carefully again and make sure you click on the correct items. For this presentation, we're really focusing on people who just basically had a W-2. Clicking on some of these other things will definitely cause you to pretty much face being charged by TurboTax. But if any of these other things do apply and you do need to file them, go ahead and click on them. It doesn't hurt to see in the end, because guess what? You can remove them off of your filing if you feel like TurboTax is charging too much. Also, you're never stuck filing with TurboTax completely, unless you press like, okay, at the end that you're submitting your taxes now for electronic filing. Up until that point, you can always backtrack and get out of here and just turn to another software or go to a professional. So this is what you should see after completing the previous screen. You should see we're off to a great start snapshot. It's just basically giving you an overview of everything that has been entered thus far. So you want to go down to the right side of the screen and click on Let's Keep Going. Now, here's where it can kind of get confusing based on what you have to enter. So I'm just giving kind of a broad overview, but if you find yourself having to stop and enter any of these items in, then what you start to see on your screen can change from what I'm actually describing on my end. So it's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff starts to happen. So at this point, you should probably see a screen from TurboTax that is like a personalized tip screen based on what you have entered. Next, you'll see some questions about a recovery rebate credit. It's okay to go ahead and click on that as well. At this point, it's not telling you to enter in any information regarding your stimulus, but this recovery rebate credit is letting you know that through TurboTax, you can go ahead and enter whether or not you received a stimulus. And if TurboTax views your situation as someone that should have received the stimulus check, but you didn't, they will add that literally to your federal refund, so that by the end of filing, that extra amount that you should have received for the stimulus last year and you didn't, it will show up as a refund on your federal taxes through TurboTax. However, ultimately, it is up to the IRS to approve it. So TurboTax can recommend it, or they can just say if you receive the correct amount and you at the time where it tells you to enter it in on the screen, which is not at the moment, but when it does, you enter in, say you got both of your stimulus checks. Well, once you enter in both amounts, TurboTax will say, oh, okay, cool. You looks like you got everything you're supposed to receive. So at that point, your federal refund wouldn't change, because TurboTax knows the amount that someone in your situation was supposed to receive or was not supposed to receive. So it's pretty cool, actually, when you think about it. Anyway, moving on, you should also see, after leaving the recovery rebate credit screen, you should see a screen that says sign now, save time later. This is just a screen to basically sign your taxes. You can do it now or you can just do it later, but TurboTax is trying to, I guess, save you time on your taxes if you want to look at it like that. So you could sign now, but again, you're not committed to continue filing. If you feel uncomfortable filing, you can back out of TurboTax at any time. You can clear the whole screen out, clear all your information out, and just turn to another software or go to a professional if you feel a little shaky about preparing your own taxes. However, again, they're just offering you a chance to sign your taxes now, which you're not technically signing, but you're more so typing in your name on this page. Next, you will have a consent page to sign now, read, and complete. Then you will have a page for entering personal information. I just want to stop here again and let you know that I'm going to breeze through this part, but at any point, if you are falling behind, you can stop the video and then, continue the video or whatever the case may be to catch up. So at this next screen, you're entering your personal information. Then you're going to confirm your marital status. Then you're going to let TurboTax know whether or not you have any dependents. And if so, chances are at that screen, you're going to begin to enter in the information for each qualifying dependent. Also, you're going to confirm your mailing address. Then TurboTax is going to ask you, did you earn any funds in another state other than the one that you reside in? Next, you're going to enter your personal information summary. Or excuse me, you're going to see your personal information summary that TurboTax will provide you based off of what you have entered. Then you're going to see a payment page. Now, at the payment page, you want to choose the free option to the far left of the page. We want to stick to free. If all we're entering in is simple W2s, maybe some unemployment, dependents, we want to stick to the free option. TurboTax may try to recommend TurboTax Plus. Ignore them and click on the free option. Step 6, a lot more stuff, okay? So once complete, you should have a snapshot of your refund thus far. Okay, so I'm jumping ahead. Let me go back. So step 6, a lot more stuff. As you can see, at this point, it is time to enter in your W-2s. So you want to take your time and go ahead and enter your W-2s. Now, at this point, you want to pay very close attention because TurboTax makes this easy. And if you're really, really fortunate, your company will already have everything electronically that TurboTax will be able to access the information based off of, like, I believe 3 different things from your W-2, which normally consists of like the information from box B, the year to date, and I forgot what the other thing is, but you will see it on the screen. Clearly I don't have that on my end, but you will see that on your screen. However, if it does not pre-fill, you have 2 options. You can fill all the information in, take your time and do so. Just make sure that you are literally entering in information on your computer that corresponds with TurboTax is telling you to. So if TurboTax says enter information from box 1, look on your W-2 very carefully and go to box 1. Sometimes everything on your W-2 is not in order as far as like 1, 2, 3, 4 or ABC. You just have to look at it very carefully to get that information. If you don't see a letter box, look over very carefully. If after looking over very carefully, you don't see a letter box or a specific number, or you don't see a value entered in that box or that letter or number box, then you keep going because there's nothing meant to be there. So with that being said, you want to just make sure that what you're entering corresponds with what TurboTax is telling you it should be at on your W-2. So you want to take your time. You're more than likely going to have to pause the video right now to go ahead and complete that, especially if your W-2 doesn't autofill, excuse me. So at this point, you want to double check your info on that W-2 and go ahead and submit it. So step 7, more stuff. Yep, more. Check for uncommon situations on list. TurboTax should be providing you with an uncommon situation list. Chances are these different things on this list does not apply to you, and that's normal. That's why TurboTax calls it uncommon. If it doesn't apply, let it fly and keep moving forward. Okay, so it's going to show you your W-2 info so far. You can edit if necessary. Next, you should see various income questions. Please take your time and go over these questions. You're just seeing what applies to you. If it doesn't apply, again, let it fly and continue. Next TurboTax is going to let you know it's time to wrap up your income. Hopefully, at this point, you have entered in all your W-2s. If not, go back, enter in all your W-2s. Next, TurboTax is going to ask you more questions. If you've been affected by a natural disaster, if you sold or bought any virtual currency, you can feel free to enter that information in. Next, TurboTax is going to ask you about various tax breaks. So they're just going to ask you some questions about various tax breaks to make sure that they are giving you the most tax breaks under this free edition. So after completing all of that, you will be taken to a deduction recommendation screen. And TurboTax is basically just letting you know which kind of deduction is recommending for you and which one you would get the most from. Hopefully, you will see the standard deduction, because the itemized deductions, I believe that is when TurboTax would begin to charge you for itemized deductions. Step 8, tax break questions. So at this point, you're going to get various questions. Again, if I jump too far ahead, pause the video. But you're going to get more questions like, did you make any student loan payments? Did you make any tax payments? Do you have a health savings account or a medical spending account? Did you have or do you have college expenses? Do you have a Form 1098-T? Retirement contributions, 401ks, IRAs. It's also going to lead you to a screen to wrap up your tax breaks. Then it's going to ask you about other tax situations. Did you make any charitable contributions? Now, if you have any questions about the charitable contributions, because I certainly did, you can always go to the IRS website in regards to these questions. Yes, it takes a lot of reading. It would be quite easier to go through a tax professional, but I'm just personally someone who loves doing this kind of stuff anyway. So for me, it's not necessarily work, but more so fun. So moving on, you would get qualified for uncommon tax situations. TurboTax is just trying to make sure you don't qualify for uncommon tax situations. Now, at this point, you will either see your refund due, or if you owe, you will see tax penalty, if applicable, and amount due. So this is where things can get a little confusing. Hopefully, you see that you are receiving a refund. But if you are someone that owes at this point, TurboTax is going to let you know how much you owe, and then it's also going to make you aware of whether or not you have a tax penalty that will have to be paid, and you will definitely see that reflected in at like the very top left corner where it says federal. You should see a estimate state return refund towards the right at the top of your screen, and you should see a federal estimated refund. Unless you owe, you would also see the owe amount, if that was the case, at the top left of your screen. So now we are getting to the point where TurboTax is asking, did you receive a stimulus check? And if so, enter the amount. So at this point, if you did receive a stimulus check, now this is whether you qualify or don't qualify. TurboTax is asking you. So at this point, if you did receive a check, you would click yes. If you received one or two, it doesn't matter. You would click yes. If you haven't received any, you would click no. You would, in either case, you're going to be taken to a second screen that's going to ask you to enter in the amount for the first round of stimulus check that you received and the second round. Now, personally, I've known individuals who received both amounts, so I entered the exact amount that they received both times. But I also knew individual who did not receive one amount and they received the second amount. So I was certain to make sure that I entered in correctly which amount they received during which round, and that I put a 0 where they didn't receive the amount. So for example, I knew someone who did not receive it the first time, but they received it the second time. So in the first option, I put 0. But in the second option, I put the actual amount they received. That's all you have to do. TurboTax will figure the rest out. So once you move from that screen, if you enter the amount, TurboTax is going to let you know one or two things. They're going to say, oh, cool, you got the right amount. That's good. Nothing else needs to be done. So they're not adding anything to your return, because they know based off the amounts that you entered in that screen for the stimulus, you received the correct amount. Or if you did not receive either, or you didn't receive one, or you received less than what you were supposed to, TurboTax is going to say, hey, wait, you didn't actually receive the amount you were supposed to. We're going to go ahead and add that amount to your federal refund right now. If you owe, if you were at the point after entering in your W2s and you owed federal money, you owed the the IRS money, the amount that TurboTax is going to send to your federal refund on the screen from not receiving the stimulus or being underpaid is going to knock down how much you owe the IRS. But if you don't owe and you're looking to get something back, or you just don't owe, then whatever the TurboTax is estimating the IRS owes you as far as the stimulus go, is actually going to add to your federal refund. But it's important to keep in mind, ultimately, the IRS has this last say. So once you electronically file your return or mail it in, even if you choose to mail it in, and I'm gonna talk about that too at towards the end. Ultimately, the IRS is going to determine whether or not you received the money that you were owed for the stimulus check, for missing the stimulus check, or even being underpaid. Moving on, you should have a screen that says 1095A form. Enter if you purchase health insurance through a healthcare marketplace. I've never seen one of these, so this didn't apply to me, but if you have this, you're going to want to go ahead and enter it in. Step 9, completing entry of federal. So at this point, we're just finishing up on our federal. So you're going to confirm your social security number. And if you have dependents listed, you may have to confirm theirs as well, whatever your screen is telling you. You're going to get a federal tax review. Then you're going to get 3 screens of confirming your federal tax information. So on these next 3 screens, it's just asking you to confirm your federal tax information. Step 10. Now you're on to your state taxes and you are halfway done with this stuff, okay? So step 10, Turbo uses federal input to automatically input into your state. So once you put in your W-2 for the federal portion of your tax return through TurboTax, they automatically load it off into the state portion, which is awesome. But you will have a chance to double check and make sure everything is okay. So Turbo will reveal your state refund thus far at this point. So you should have an estimate of your federal as well as your state. And normally towards the end, if everything is correct and the IRS accepts it, it doesn't change. That really becomes your refund. So you will also review your residence information on this screen for your state taxes. You're going to input the county that you live in, the school district you reside in, and then you will confirm your physical residential address. Next, you will be presented with a list of taxes. Now, again, this is where things may differ from what I have on the screen, because what I have on the screen was for Ohio, and I've never done taxes outside of the state of Ohio. So just take your time and really look through these things carefully. Me personally, as someone who just has W-2s and experience with people with W-2s, none of this other stuff that TurboTax begins to show me, like for example, they start to show me medicals, a medical option, education, business, miscellaneous. None of those things ever apply to me. So I'm able to just literally skip through all of that. I don't click on any of them. I just continue next, 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 like at the far right bottom of the screen. I continue next, next, next. But if any of these things apply to you, if you want to take some time out just to kind of look, and if your curiosity is getting the best of you, take some time out to check it out. It doesn't hurt anything as long as you don't input anything that doesn't belong there. So you can definitely check it out. But for the most part, for myself, with just a simple W-2 and none of this other stuff, I don't ever have to like click on any of these options. I literally just continue to next. So if you have to, or you need to, or you want to look through these options, just go ahead and pause the video. Moving on. So purchases without state tax. TurboTax is trying to set you up. No, I'm kidding. But TurboTax is going to ask you, did you make any purchases? And they may be referring to online purchases. I don't really remember. You would know based off of what you see on the screen. But did you make any of those purchases without paying state tax? See, they're trying to set you up for the woo-woo. Moving on. Check for ways to save. So TurboTax is going to check for ways to save you money. After that, it's going to ask you about Ohio credit and taxes. Again, you can see if any of these things apply. Normally for me, none of them apply, so I normally just continue. Then it's going to ask you, do you want to donate to some programs? And you can go through that list. What you do is your business. I normally don't click on any of those things, okay? Next, I highly recommend mailing in city taxes because TurboTax doesn't file them. Now, again, in Ohio, for me personally, where I reside, TurboTax will not electronically file my city taxes. You can see what it says for you. You can even begin to start it in TurboTax's software, because it will definitely allow you to do your city taxes in their software. But in the end, you will see that you cannot necessarily electronically file them. Now, again, I know this for Ohio. I don't know this for another state, but you can always continue to prepare them. For me personally, I'll tell you what I do. I used to prepare them through TurboTax, and then towards the end, when I would electronically file and print out the copy of my 1040 and state taxes, what will also print out is the paperwork on my city taxes that I prepared through the TurboTax software. That particular paperwork, I would literally just fold up and mail to my city tax, whoever is the people that does our city taxes. That's who I would mail it to. So you can always prepare it in there, but I don't think TurboTax will file them electronically. Again, I know that for certain for the state of Ohio. However, also with the state of Ohio, or just where I reside, literally from my city and some cities that I've prepared taxes for, I also discovered that one thing that you can do to figure out how to do your city taxes is you can look up your city and then type in taxes and find out, look at the website and see if they do it for you. Because where I reside, they do it for us for free. So we literally just have to print out whatever the website says to print out as far as like a cover page to our W2s. We fill out that cover page, then we make sure we put in a copy of our W2 as well as the first 2 pages of our 1040, and we literally mail it off to the local city tax building, and they prepare it for us. So it makes it no problem. Like, it's getting everything done. I can get my city prepared by the city. TurboTax is basically doing my federal and state, so nothing is left lingering. Step 11, finishing state. So now we are almost done. So at this point, you're going to check over your state taxes. You're also going to use what TurboTax offers called Smart Check results. It shouldn't cost, okay? But I don't believe it costs. It didn't cost me anything. TurboTax is forever changing stuff. So as I'm saying this, I'm just letting you know, prior to today, February 15, 2021, it was not charging. So you can go ahead and click on Smart Check results, and it should make sure that no corrections or anything have to be made. They will definitely let you know. Next, you will get a snapshot of your state refund. I put Ohio on the screen because, again, I normally just do Ohio. Then you would see a screen that says done with your state taxes. Then you will have a chance to do a complete check and review, or TurboTax will have a chance to do a complete check and review over all of your taxes. So you just got to be a little patient, let it do that complete check and review. It does not take long at all. Finally, you will get the refund that is either due to you or the amount that you owe. And I've never seen anyone owe any state. I have seen individuals owe federal, but you would know what you would see on your screen and just take heed to that. Next, you would have an offering by TurboTax for Plus. This is something that I'm not too familiar with because I never use it, because really, if you're filing simple W2s, you really don't need it, especially with this presentation. You really don't need it. So you just want to click on not now. So here we are at the final 3 steps. Hopefully you have caught up to me. Hopefully you are here at these final 3 steps. Now, the final 3 steps are going to be to review your order, refund payment info. This is where you're going to put in your direct deposit, or you're going to choose that prepaid Credit Karma account if you don't have an account or you just don't want to use your account, or you're going to choose the option that TurboTax gives for a refund advance if you are interested. And remember, it is ultimately up to TurboTax to make that determination. They do not make it based off of credit, as far as my understanding goes. It is more so based off of how you are getting back. The refund advance costs you absolutely nothing. And then finally, you'll be led to a screen that says get ready to save and file your return. So the first step you're going to do now is to review your order. You're going to select start. You're going to register with Turbo, and an email is going to be sent to you to verify your email address that you are using through Turbo. You're verifying basically your TurboTax TurboTax account with your email address. This is where having a valid email address comes into play, and being able to access it right now, because you're definitely about to need it. Step 13. This is where you get that direct deposit page. How you basically want your refund back, or if you owe, how would you like to pay. At this point, TurboTax should not be asking you to pay anything up front, or requiring you to pay anything up front in order to file your taxes. It actually should list some further future dates, or asking you like how do you want to make your payments to the IRS, and you just go accordingly. This should not have any impact on whether or not you can complete electronically filing your return. I know, because again, I've done some returns like this. However, I know that is to be, you know, through the circumstances that I've encountered. So if it is not for the circumstance that you are encountering, then I apologize in advance for that. But for the most part, from my understanding, you owing the IRS should not affect you, should not stop you from being able to file a simple W-2 for free electronically through TurboTax. Step 14, save and file. So at this screen, you're going to hit start. You're going to choose whether or not you want to file by mail or e-file. E-file means that you're just going to click on something, confirm a few things with TurboTax, click on something, and you're literally sending off your tax form through TurboTax to file with the IRS. Nothing further needs to be done. You don't need to submit your W-2s. They already have that from when you inputted it earlier on, through the TurboTax software. So you're actually going to keep all your copies of your W-2s, except for the one that you may have to mail off to your city tax, for your local taxes. But again, if you choose file by mail, you would actually have to print out your taxes. You would just press the option when you get to it on the TurboTax screen to download and print your return. And then you would have on that return an address that you are to mail your 1040 as well as a copy of your W-2 to the IRS, as well as to your state tax office. So if you go with the e-file, you're going to continue these steps. You're going to confirm your information to e-file. Now here is where you may or may not need your AGI from last year in order to file. This is your adjusted gross income that can be found on your 1040 tax form last year. If you did not file last year, you can click on the option that says I didn't file last year. If you have that tax form from last year, that 1040, your 2019 1040, you would click on that. If you click on I can't get my 2019 tax return, you can print and mail it, or you can say I requested and received my 2019 transcript from the IRS. You can go over to the IRS website if you don't currently have a copy of your 2019 1040 in your possession. That could take some time. You may be able to retrieve it electronically. You may have to send off for it to be mailed to you. But like I said, you can always log off at any point on TurboTax and log back in and complete your taxes later. They will continue to keep it on file just as long as you don't click clear and start over. Step 14, save and file, continue. At this point, you should be entering in your driver's license or your ID information. If you choose I don't have either, you may still be able to proceed with the agreement, or you may not. I've never done that. Chances are, though, you're going to need your ID and driver's license to file. Then you're going to click on consent to file. If any corrections or anything is missing, TurboTax will let you know now, and I will give you an example of that. There are times where TurboTax will be like, oh, something is going on with your state. At least this is what happens in Ohio. And when I would click on it, like, okay, make corrections now, whatever the option is to go ahead and correct that issue, it would take me back to a screen where it's showing me literally the only thing that was messed up was the state was missing my email address. It's silly little things like that, but it has to be completed. So if you get something like that, just make sure you go back and correct it, then continue with hitting the next button, next button, next button, till you get back to the point where you're at that screen to save and file and continue. This should be your final screen overall. So this is where there's no turning back. At this point, you can no longer, if you submit this page, rather, there's no turning back. There's no going back in to correct anything. At this point, you would have to do an amendment if you did something incorrectly. So at this point, you want to make sure, again, everything is correct. And if so, you're going to create a 5-digit signature. Use whatever you want, 5 digits, 5 numbers. Just make sure you don't forget them. From my experience, I never really need them, but I also make sure I don't forget them just in case. And you're going to make sure your birthday is correct and that today's date is correct. As you can see, today is February 15th, 2021, but I just used, this was, pre-made, so this was from another day. Then you're going to click on I'm not a robot if you have a reCAPTCHA, and you're going to submit your return, transmit your return. That should be at the very right side, bottom of your screen. So congratulations. Y'all hear me clapping? Congratulations. You did it. If you made it this far towards the end and this was your first time preparing your taxes or preparing your taxes through TurboTax, you should give yourself like the biggest hug ever and really walk around knowing that you are the bomb, because you just did something that a lot of people are still paying a lot of money for someone else to do. And it's really just not, it's not that bad, especially if you have simple W2s. That's the biggest thing. Now, if you go beyond that, you may want to get a professional, because I personally, I will eventually begin to file things like self-employment. And at that point, I may seek out a tax professional. But the good thing about TurboTax, and I'm sure there's other softwares, but I'm just more familiar with TurboTax, is that they do offer professional help. However, most of that professional help will come at a fee. So with all of that being said, I hope you all enjoyed my presentation. I really hope that it was very relevant to individuals, because I know that this may not look the same for every state. So I hope it was able to at least provide some of you with the foundation of how to file basic W2, simple W2s in TurboTax. So that's it. I'll talk to y'all soon.